Hey, if you want literally a life and death story, just stay to the end of this review. But hey, it's Free Guy. Uh, we got a 2 minute little review, no spoilers, and then we will explain the rating system, give our rating. Actually, the rating system's in the description. Go there, and then we'll do a spoiler review to our heart's content or Brad's schedule, whichever comes first.
One of the two.
Yeah, sir. One thing I
Sir.
want to say before we get going is that this time I did not have 2 glasses of wine, and I cried even more.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
I,
that is amazing.
I'm well rested. I would not recommend anyone backing the Patreon to see how I look because I look like a hot bag of shit that relates to the story at the end of this podcast. Um, would not recommend
Which
seeing how
mean
my face looks.
which means not only do you have to listen to this podcast, you also have to watch the movie now because
Okay.
because we're gonna get into spoiler territory in 2 minutes.
Yeah, but with that in mind, that even stone cold sober, tears. What did you think, sir?
I will go ahead and spoil this that I did not cry. Um, it's not a bad movie. I mean, I don't know, it's not bad. The non-spoiler review of it, what I would say, if you liked Ready Player One but thought the 80s were too long ago, I would say this movie is a little bit more your speed.
Dude, I just recorded my full commentary track, which by the way, if anyone wants to watch the first 10 minutes of that, link below, full thing, link below, blah blah blah. And I literally compared this movie to Ready Player One.
As soon as I started watching this, like at the beginning, I was like, oh man, this is kind of like Grand Theft Auto the movie. And then
Mhm.
as it went on and on and on, I was like, no, this is like Ready Player One. But if you thought the 80s were too long ago and you wanted something a little closer to 2000s, 2000 to 2020, here you go. It's almost like Ryan Reynolds' kid, like, all the video games his kids play. It's just like, okay, yeah, we're good now. Ready Player
I,
One, the games that I played in the 80s, now these are the games you play in the 2000s. All right, we got this.
my comparison was a little more uh critical, which was this feels like Ready Player One, except uh Ready Player One didn't quite hit the nail on the head in terms of reference culture. If you felt that, like,
I mean, I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, but like all my stuff is from the 80s. So like watching Ready Player One, I'm like, oh, I remember playing that. Oh, yep, I know that game. Oh, yep. Now watching some of this, I'm like, okay, I know that reference is from a video game and I know it's from somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it. I mean, there
you
were
know
some
what?
Halos and stuff like that were made easy. Fortnite, the beginning scene was Fortnite. So
I'm gonna give it to you. I think you're more right because it's a little more Ready Player One is more classic references. And while I was doing the commentary, I was like, I don't think the Berg, Steven Spielberg, it might be the best person for referencing pop culture, but with the looking through the lens of this is more, this movie does up to the date references, and that one does older references.
which is
I'll
easier to do.
Yeah, I'll take that back. But the other movie, here it is. The movie that this really reminded me of the first time was Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but
Really.
with more heart. It's so dense with references, so dense to the point where I could imagine a lot of people not. I mean, me as an example, not getting most of the references because it's so dense. Uh, the It's so vibrant. There's such a, I don't know, just something about it. If this movie feels like Scott Pilgrim with more heart, if that makes sense.
Okay. Scott, we're talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the movie, not
Yes.
the books.
Yes.
Because if you're going to pick one of the two, read the books. They're a lot better. They explain a lot more. the movie just kind of has like a, oh, hey, look, now you're going to fight this guy for absolutely no reason outside of he's one of our old ex-boyfriends. Oh, no backstory to this guy. He's just going to fight you.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the movie, is the slimmer um, experience, kind of like comparing the later Harry Potter movies, except for the final two-parter, to the books, where it's just like, oh yeah, they had to cut out 75% of it because you can't make an 8-hour movie. But me personally, I prefer the Scott Pilgrim the movie. I only read the black and white ones, so I don't know if the color, because I mean,
Yeah.
color is nice.
They just had more backstory. I mean, the movie, I know this isn't about this movie, but it's just, you fight random ex-boyfriends for absolutely no reason. You have no reason to like or not like any of them. Another guy shows up and he's like, oh, I'm going to fight you now. Like a bad kung fu movie.
Woo! Fighting words.
Spicy.
Got real spicy to my my favorite Edgar Wright film. All right, let's get into our rating. I think we've gone over the 2-minute limit. Oh no, I wasn't recording that. I'm just kidding.
If we did. And if we didn't, I'll do it again.
All right.
I'll fight you again.
The rating system, like I said, is in the description of the podcast, etc., etc. What is your rating, sir? If you remember it.
If not, I looked at them, but I remember. I'm going with joint.
Okay.
I know it's going to be. I assume it's probably going to be lower than yours, but it was a good movie. It's a movie. Yeah, you should probably check out. But I don't think it's a movie that's going to blow your mind. I don't think it's any top tier movie. I think it's middle of the road. Middle of the road. You should see it.
All right. So I am not going mushroom. It's not that for me. But yes, you are correct. It's not a joint for me. A joint, as an example, if this is the first one anyone's listened to, for me is Iron Man. It's like, it's not perfect. It's a fun time. We all can agree that the third act is a little disappointing because it gets a little punchy, although that is still fun. This movie just feels like that, but firing on all cylinders and not a wrong move made for me. Like, and also the fact that it's just so dense, it doesn't feel dense. Like, if you think about it too long, like I always do, it is just, you know what? We're going to get into spoilers. That was our ratings. Mine was edible, and
mine was joint.
Cool. Now, spoilers. This is a podcast, so we don't care about retention. We care about your experience. So if that sounded good to you, boom, affiliate link down below, or just find. Hopefully, it's on Disney Plus soon. That'd be cool. And just
it is a Disney movie. Didn't know that until today.
Yeah, owned by Fox, or it was a Fox. It was Fox technically. I wonder. I'd be curious to see what that timeline was like, because I know The Kingsman was definitely fully Fox, but considering they got so many Disney references.
Yeah, and they had to ask, and Ryan Reynolds explained kind of that process of how they got to use some of the Disney references.
Ooh, I didn't know anything of what you're talking about. Please forward me that link, or we'll talk about more. But what was I gonna say? Oh, if you just think about all that's going on, there are so many levels to the movie. It's a combination of The Matrix, a combination of an inspirational, like, Zero to Hero. It's a love story. It has the imagination. I think it actually exceeds this, but it plays by like Inception's rules, where it's like, just think bigger and different and more awesome. And it's also got a bit of Ted Lasso. I think that's what hit me this time. Like, because I've watched Ted Lasso, I think 5 or 6 times all the way through, and it's just
great TV show. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
And like, that's the part that really, I think I figured out why Buddy's quote unquote death hit me. It wasn't because of the sacrifice of his best friend, or his best friend's death. I
Please don't
just
cry. Please don't
finished
cry. Please don't
watching.
cry.
I'm totally fine if I do. I'll give a shit. Never tell me please don't cry again unless it's for hurt. But it was him saying it's the first day I'm not afraid. And it's just I think just feeling that weight lifting off his shoulders. Ah, and especially in like what he thought was the last moments of his life. That's what hit.
But was it really?
I know it wasn't.
I mean,
I know.
and this is where I'm gonna put you down a little bit here. So I'm gonna take it down from edible down to joint. He's an AI character that hasn't really been set free yet to the rules of the movie. So he really doesn't know that he's gonna be, because the only one that's really had like set rules was Guy, who became free because he fell in love with a character that outside the world, the two creators of the other game, Utopia, I forgot what the game was called.
Life itself, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, he finally broke the rules, which allowed the AI basically to like upgrade him, kind of more or less, allowed him to evolve past his everyday cycle. So nobody else had really had their cycle broken up until that point. So was he really assuming that he was going to die? And even if he did die, he just goes back to his bed and he wakes back up the next morning.
Well, actually, at that point in the movie, and it's unfair because I literally just stopped watching it. At that point in the movie, anyone that died is gone forever because the servers are being broken, and they booted out all the characters. And I would argue that none of the other NPCs are at Guy's level in terms of his evolution, but Guy's effect. I think all the characters are like modded versions of original characters that Millie and Keys made. Guy was just the first one to break through because there was such a specific trigger. But I think everyone
a sequence of events that needed to happen.
Yeah, but I do think that like the coffee lady who starts making cappuccino, she's in like level 2
maybe.
of her evolution. I feel like that's the same way with Buddy. So they're definitely not the fully formed AI at that point, but they are a little more. I believe the movie was trying to say that they're more human than they were before Guy started having his effect on them.
More human than human.
Not yet. No, more like how a newborn baby. Well, I don't know how this is. Maybe somewhere in the when the baby is still in the stomach, they're not a fully formed functioning human until like probably, or relatively speaking, probably like 4 or 5. And then they still have room to grow and evolve. But like until they can learn to poop in a toilet and not a diaper, I don't consider them a fully formed human being. Actually, the fact that he's 4 is perfect. I mean, but real, like, a fully functioning human being, let's say, not fully formed. I forgot where we were at when I started saying the words that I was just saying.
I'll hook us back a little bit here. So the actor that plays Buddy, plays a security guard.
Yep.
Was also the TSA agent in Get Out.
Yep. And he was also in that movie with Eric Andre, or Amazon movie with I don't know. It was kind of like a Jackass type of movie. It was fine. It was fun. It's better than I thought it would have been.
It was fine. It was fun. It was fine. Oh, and he was in Bird Box too, and Space Jam, the new Space Jam.
Yeah,
but
2 movies I'm not interested in seeing.
What? I was going to nominate that one
based on the second Space Jam.
Yeah.
Are you
I've
for
seen it.
real? Because I'm open to it if you're
No,
actually wanting to nominate it.
I'm sure we'll get there, but we'll do the first one first.
Fair enough.
So a couple fun facts. Um, Millie, Molotov girl,
Mhm.
Jodie Cromer,
Creme
something.
brulee.
Yeah, creme brulee. This was her first starring role in a movie. She'd been a starring role in several TV shows, and she was in one movie in Force Awakens, where she was
Ooh.
Ray's mom or whatever in a flashback. This is her
What?
first. Yeah, this was her first movie though.
What
First
TV
major,
shows?
a bunch of British ones. I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's interesting that they had her British filter on then.
Yeah, well, she was racking off all kinds of British, Australian. She was racking off all kinds of accents.
All right, let me see. She has been in Killing Eve, which I hear is fucking fantastic. Um, oh, I've been hearing about the movie The Last Duel, or seeing at least the ads for it. But that's freaking awesome. She has a longer. I was gonna reference an Indian actress who was in the movie Om Shanti Om, but her the actress I was gonna reference did not have quite as long an IMDb page before that movie. Or let me rephrase that. It was much shorter than that, but that's awesome.
Um, Also, I don't know if you realize this after there's a lot of after watching this twice. There are a lot of cameos in this movie.
Oh yeah.
One of them is Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
What? Which part?
He was the guy that guy originally killed to get the glasses the first time.
Whoa.
And again, backstory behind all of this: Ryan Reynolds and the director went through their phones, got iPhone voice memos of their lines, so they never actually had to come in the studio. They just did it through their voice memos. So
It,
this is off of Ryan Reynolds and the director's phone. They just went scrolling through and was looking for cameos.
okay, so I'm gonna tell you what my original response was gonna be, and then I'm gonna update it. Um, One was, well, actually, I had three levels to that. The first one was, I thought you were going to talk about Channing Tatum and Chris Evans, and I was going to be like, yeah, it really pissed me off because all these articles just gave away the whole shebang on day one instead of saying something like how the surprise Avenger got a cameo and blah blah blah, or they would just be like how they got Chris Evans and Channing Tatum. I was like, you fuckers. Like some of these articles are almost before any actual showings, not even including the fact that a lot of people like myself were stubborn and like really didn't want to see it in a theater and wanted to just see it at home. Second level, second response is, holy shit, I did not know about Dwayne Johnson. And I was going to say, I actually can't believe that Dwayne Johnson would be, this will sound like an insult, and it might be a little, I guess, I don't know. I was going to say I would be surprised that Dwayne Johnson was so humble to show up without showing his face to cameo, but it's not surprising since they're both in the same movie together with Red Notice, and before that, Hobbs and Shaw. I was like, all right, tit for tat. And then as soon as you set off voice notes off the iPhone, I was like, well, they did the same thing with Mission Impossible Fallout, but yeah, that makes a lot more sense with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. Also, another not surprising cameo was the guy that Molotov girl got the secrets for the secret stash house.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who that was?
Absolutely not. But I was saying if people liked his voice, they should check out Corpse Husband on YouTube.
And if they like his voice, they should check out, I don't know, Wolverine.
That was Hugh Jackman.
There you go.
That is not surprising. I wouldn't be surprised if that was really Hugh Jackman on set. Although how he moves, I doubt it. Like Daniel Craig's cameo in Star Wars. Once you know it, you can tell that it's him moving under that suit. You're like, yeah, that's definitely him in there.
And then some of the obvious not so secret ones. Alex Trebek before he passed away.
Yeah.
All the YouTube / Twitch people.
Pokemon, Jacksepticeye, Ninja are the ones I could recognize.
And then One was it the director? There was or one of the producers. Was one of the YouTube like stars or whatever that you probably didn't recognize.
I
And
know
I think it was
what
only I think it was on there once.
I if I'm gonna be a betting man, I'm gonna say it's the producer, only because I know what the director looks like, and
Yeah.
I didn't catch it, but I could have missed it. I do know that uh, the director's daughters cameoed, and he literally was just at home, and he's like, "Can you say this?" And he just pointed the camera. It was so unprofessional, and like the studio was like, "All right, well, we got it. Now should we do a real shoot?" And it's like, "We got it. Fuck, fuck it. Why?
Well, I mean,
We're
if you
done."
could, if you could do the Rock and Wolverine over iPhone
Oh
voice memos, then who
yeah,
cares?
yeah, and it looks great. It was the two girls, and at one point it's like, "Kill that motherfucker," and then it stopped, and then later it was like, "Get his
Oh,
get his ass" or something. And the fun fact about that is the director, it was his younger daughter who was supposed to swear. And he was like, "It's fine. You can say the swear word, and we're just going to cut it so it's not the full word." And she refused to say the full word,
that's
even
very wholesome.
just her sister, and her dad in a room. And she's like, "I'm just going to say fa or mother fa or whatever it is, and you're going to cut it so it'll sound." And he's like, "Baby." Well, I don't
Yeah.
know what his nickname is. That sounds weird, but like, "Darling, just it's fine. You can say the word. You're not gonna get in trouble." And she stood her ground, and I'm like, that's a real. I don't know why I'm so excited. I'm just proud of little girls who can, because I got a 10-year-old sleeping in the next room. Um, and she has a whole bag of. Yeah. Anyway, I was gonna just gush about her, but let's. I love her. Anyway. Um, and then of course we got Channing Tatum.
Yep. I don't really consider that a cameo. I he's
Yeah,
more of a character.
yeah, very small, small supporting
Well,
role.
he gets the full beginning where you kind of jump in where it looks like um man Fortnite, and then turns into Grand Theft Auto, and then he kind of plays another role later in the Stash House. He's I forgot what that actor's name is, who's in a lot of other movies. Matthew
Yeah,
Cutterope. Yeah.
there's really only like three people in this whole movie whose name I know. Actually, four. Uh, the fourth one is Taika Waititi, but I was gonna say, and they're all like mid 40s white dudes: Channing Tatum, Chris Evans, and Ryan Reynolds.
I
Taika
got I
obviously
got
does not fit perfectly into that mold.
I got Alex Trebek too, so I'm
Oh
good.
yeah, well yeah, actors. Let me say,
Oh well, he is an
people
actor.
not
He
playing
was on a TV show.
themselves. People not playing themselves. Then,
Fine, fine,
shit.
fine.
Chris Evans is playing himself.
Yes, kind of. He's
Yeah,
playing himself, but he also has the Captain American shield.
yeah. Um, and the first time I saw it, I didn't know the guy from Blind Spotting was in there.
Which
The
which guy?
Do you remember in Blind Spotting the guy who tells the story? Sawed off
No.
Leatherface. Um, he's at the Collins's job, and he tells the story about the tiki place with the bull. That's all I want to say, so I don't spoil more. But
You don't want to spill anything?
no, because Blind Spotting is an ayahuasca movie, which is the highest rating on the rating scale for me. But no, he's the guy who is like, and he's always like, rah, and his friend's like, "I hate my dad," and that's all. I spoiled more than I said I was, but it's all out of context, so it doesn't make any sense unless you've seen it. He's that guy.
I've seen it, but I don't remember. I've only seen the movie once, so I guess.
Totally fair. Um, but he's a really good actor, and I honestly, everybody kills it.
Yeah, acting wise, I think that they did a really good job. I think they did a really good job casting all the way up and down the roles. including Antoine, who's the owner of Tsunami or whatever it is, whatever the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah. It was
which is supposed to be
something
like a
like
kind of
that.
like a playoff Blizzard. Um,
Cool, man. Did they just hit that right on the head? Fuck.
I mean, the
Considering
name,
everything that came out afterwards.
yeah, but so how they came up with having him do that role is they took every like producer and director and board member that they've ever disliked and took all their attributes and put them into this guy. So they wanted him to be like that. So they just took all of their past history and put him into that one guy. Feel
That's
bad for that
awesome.
guy.
I gotta
I feel
watch more interviews about this because I watched all the special
it's
features, but I didn't
yeah.
know that. Um,
Ryan Reynolds did a lot of interviews about this. I mean, he's very proud of this movie.
he should be because
And he even put so much of his life in this too. I know it's a really weird thing. If
yeah,
you go back and look at the Jeopardy board, some of the categories are like famous Canadians or something like that. There's one's famous Blakes, referencing his wife.
Aw.
So he put a lot of his life into this. So just it's cool to see. It's cool, that he was able to do stuff like that. But man, I cannot see Ryan Reynolds or hear Ryan Reynolds without thinking Deadpool immediately.
No, I get it, but I think it's his wide-eyed optimism that helps separate it for me. Like Ryan Reynolds seems to be succeeding where Johnny Depp didn't.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Like after Pirates of the Caribbean, it felt like Johnny Depp was like, I'll do Jack Sparrow in any different type of makeup if you pay me $50 million. Alice in Wonderland, done and done. And
Edward Scissorhands.
oh well, that predated, so that's
Oh, did
unfair.
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's an old
I,
Tim
I,
Burton
I
movie.
see. I thought when they redid that one, I thought it was like the same time period, but no,
Wait,
you might you probably you
redid. They made two Edward Scissorhands.
well, they made like the old school one, which was like the 80s or whatever, 70s, 80s, and then they made the Tim Burton updated one with. So I'm pretty sure there's two.
Oh, I didn't know that. Let's see. Edward Scissorhands. That shouldn't be surprising. Uh oh, okay. There's a TV show. What? I'm
Oh,
so
1990. I thought there was an older one too.
there's a 1991, and that one is the Tim Burton one. And then all right, that's a rabbit hole to go down another time. I meant like after Pirates of the Caribbean, he did Alice in Wonderland, and then he just kept getting lazier with Jack Sparrow, and did Willy Wonka and the Chocolate or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that wasn't quite Jack Sparrow, but it was just weird, and I don't think it worked for
And
me.
so if we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, I think Robert Downey Jr. might fit in that category, and I hope he doesn't. The Iron Man, everything's gonna be Iron Man esque, but
I I could see that because his acting is very specific. Although if you want a different flavor, I think I mentioned this last episode. Charlie Bartlett, the movie I saw that came out with him
I think you
before
did.
Iron Man. And it really is. It feels different. But yeah, him, Robert Downey Jr. in Chef definitely feels like Iron Man. Very much. But Ryan Reynolds, like he's doing Deadpool and like Detective Pikachu's working for me.
Which
That
again, I same thing. He's got that
eh?
quirky sense of humor.
But like I think it's just the small details, like the difference. Like Deadpool is definitely cynical.
Yes,
Free Guy is definitely or Guy is definitely optimistic. And
Green Lantern is just shit.
yeah, never. Yeah, it's not a perfect, but it's definitely better than Johnny Depp's track record at this point. And then Detective Pikachu is just a caffeinated Pikachu.
And then the
That's
proposal. I mean, how could you forget that masterpiece?
honestly, I love the proposal.
Well, because Betty White makes that movie. Get out of here.
Oh, dude, better than the movie Proposal is the extra like skit they did as promotional material. If you've never seen it, Betty White is being a two-faced piece of shit and like
She's
gas.
probably great at it.
Oh, she's great, and she's gaslighting Ryan Reynolds behind Sandra Bullock's back and making Ryan Reynolds seem like a jackass when he's just like, "What the fuck did you just?" And she's like, "Oh no," he cried and like gets a hug from Sandra Bullock and then like flicks him off like all Betty White angry, and then Sandra Bullock like pulls Ryan to the side. And I'm telling you all this because it's gonna be even better when you see it. And she's like, that is Betty fucking White. She's a national fucking treasure. Who the fuck are you? You are Ryan Reynolds. No one knows Ryan Reynolds. People know Sandra Bullock. People know Betty White. No one fucking knows you. You should learn your fucking play. And it's it feels nothing relating to the movie. But it's a masterpiece. Anyway, yeah, I went into this movie like the trailers looked good.
I mean, overall, I would say it was a good movie. I mean, but my problem is that I like Ready Player One better because I understand those references more.
Hey,
but it's just an updated version of that with a little bit more of a twist.
Yeah, no worries.
And more of an outside thing too, less in the video game, more drama outside the video game too. So,
I meant like going into this, the trailers looked fine. The director seems very hit or miss for me. Like Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian is like one of his best films. Almost as good as this one for me. I didn't cry to that film, so
only because what's his name? Robin Williams saved that movie.
Oh. No, but honestly, like every from the top to the bottom, Amy Adams in that movie. The charge across the grass, cutting from like Owen Wilson and I forget the other person who's with him, running through the grass at like maybe fighting a squirrel and then getting wide shots and realizing that like nothing seems to be happening. It just fires on every level. It's a great movie. I would say that's a joint plus for me. The first Night at the Museum is quaint. It's fine. The third one really shits the bed for me. It feels like, oh, okay.
The first one did a good job setting everything up. The second one, good. Third one, yeah.
Yeah. And then Due Date with Tina Fey and Steve Carell is like way down. I wouldn't recommend anyone watch that. And I feel really bad because I hear him talk with such pride about it. And I'm like, you definitely had a better experience making that movie than I did watching it. So it was it's like going into a movie with James Mangold as the director. I'm like, is this gonna be Logan or is it gonna be Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz? Because that movie is a piece of shit and the trailer is amazing. So I was like, okay, I hope it's as good as Deadpool. I think it's gonna bomb. Unfortunately,
Ready Player One updated, but then you take Deadpool and then you like make it more kid friendly. So if you wanted to watch it, if you won't let your kids watch Deadpool, have them watch this movie. It's like kid friendly.
But like honestly, like Deadpool 1 was solid. Deadpool 2 was okay, or it was real good, but I don't think it was as good as the first one, personally.
No. I mean, it hit on different levels, but it definitely wasn't as good.
Yeah, and but this one just blew it out of the park. I think this is my favorite Ryan Reynolds film, and no joke, Proposal is real up there because they do a great job for what it is. For what it is, they do a real good job.
It's fine.
It's not as good as Forgetting Sarah Marshall for me.
Wow,
but
that's that far up there.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall for a romantic comedy is like chef's kiss.
And I bet you definitely maybe is up there too.
Yes,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Great call, and I love that. I love that.
Blade Trinity.
You just had to shit
Oh,
the bed.
the
You just
waiting.
did the Night at the Museum trilogy because you gave a good, or there was a good movie at the beginning, which was Proposal, then an even better movie with Definitely Maybe, and then you threw in, I've already forgotten the movie you just
Blade
mentioned,
Trinity.
Blade Trinity. Shit the bed.
And then and then if we're gonna keep going down Ryan Reynolds films, why not?
Waiting is
Um,
amazing.
The Waiting with Dane Cook.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, I couldn't tell them apart. Honest to God, I couldn't tell Dane Cook and Ryan Reynolds apart. I right now, I mean, if you put both of them in front of me, I could probably tell you. But back, if you give me the movie Waiting, had them on two different flashcards, flip them back and forth, I couldn't tell you which one's which.
All right.
Just part of my thing.
All right. Right before we get back to this movie, I'm trying to find it. Dane Cook. It's not going to be called this because IMDb didn't bring it up, but my best friend's girlfriend. No, my best friend's girl is a shockingly good movie.
I've heard of it, so that's a good start.
It's a movie that you think is going to be a piece of shit, like Daddy's Home, and then the characters are just a little more dynamic than what you would expect if it was a good movie. Does that make sense? Like, oh, this is a solid movie, and these characters are exactly what I expected them to be, plus 10% character development, where it's like, oh, they really went above and beyond. Huh. Cool.
I mean, if you're comparing it to Daddy's Home or Daddy's Home 2, even
I didn't see the second one. I heard it was so bad and
you're
it
good.
broke my heart.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Other fun fact.
Mhm.
So they had to ask Disney's permission to use all the Disney properties. I mean, it's pretty standard. Disney owns the world. So they had the idea to put in Disney stuff in there. And so they cautiously asked Disney if they could use some of their properties. They suggested Star Wars, they suggested Marvel, and Disney came back and just said yes. So Ryan Reynolds came back and was like, yes to what? They were like, yes to all of it. So Disney allowed them to use their properties and IPs.
Now I really want to find out what point in the acquisition process that was, because I'm pretty sure they wrapped filming on this before the acquisition was finalized. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, unless it was literally like they were halfway through production and then the acquisition finished, and they were like, "Okay, let's add the shield and the lightsaber."
Well, the shield kind of plays, I wouldn't say an important role in the movie, but it moves the plot along. The lightsaber, I think it's just a background thing. I don't really think the lightsaber was really used, was it?
It was used in the fight with Dude right after the shield, and mind you, both of them came with the most, I have to imagine, most expensive songs from their respective franchises. So it wasn't just the prop, because you could like fake a lightsaber and
you could change it
and just be like, is that a yeah, and you're done, you're good. Just don't make the change the noise of vroom to boom, and you're good. Maybe
Just
have
change-
spark right as it comes out. It's like, oh, that doesn't sound right, and then done. You've covered all your bases and you are clear. But like, to have the music and have the thing, even in the special features, you saw the shield and it's blurred out because they didn't have the legal right to use it in the special features. They only had the right to use it in
just to the movie.
Yeah. And I mean, shit, even in Swingers, hearing the process of how they got the Jaws music for an independent film, even if it wasn't expensive, they didn't have to pay a lot of money. It was like 1 in a billion shot. And unfortunately, I insulted Steven Spielberg a little earlier in this, but he gave him the rights to it, and that was very nice of him and gracious.
I'm sure Steven, as we like to call him because we're friends, I'm sure he'll forgive us on this one because he listens to this podcast. I'm sure he'll be okay with it.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks, Steven.
Yeah, sorry, Steve-O too.
So what did you think of the choice of the song that they used? Mariah
Oh,
Carey
I fucking
Fantasy.
loved it. Do you want to?
That was so out of left field.
I don't even the number of times I was watching it dancing on camera and like talking about the like wondering where this ranked in terms of uh jukebox perfection. I was literally saying this and Ted Lasso are like fucking perfect. I Ted Lasso I think is even better because there's more obscure songs that I had never heard, but it always seems to fit for me. But I fucking I was here
I,
for it.
how do you think that went? Like how do you think that whole meeting went? Do you think Ryan Reynolds, bumped into Mariah Carey on a red carpet somewhere or some, you know, music awards and was like, "Hey, I really like that song Fantasy. Can I use it in my next movie?" And she's just like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Nobody wants that song. Do you want it?
My best guess, and before I answer, I'm gonna say even their re or re-recording or whatever they did for the big dramatic end. Whew,
Hmm.
that hit so much for me. I imagine that Mariah Carey is a lot like Brad Pitt, and here's why. In Deadpool
This
2,
is super interesting because I'm ready. I'm ready for this. That's super interesting that you're going to compare those two. That's
yeah,
like 6 degrees of separation, but like better.
here's why. Deadpool 2, Brad Pitt has a cameo so quick you could miss it. I'm going to pat myself on the back though. Before his character was off screen again, I yelled out Brad Pitt in the theater. I was like, Brad Pitt! The way he was brought onto that film and he was paid scale. So, like, pocket changed him. Like, he essentially got paid a penny in relative terms of his wealth and, you know, how much he does get paid to be on film. And they explained the joke, and he was like, if Ryan gets me a cup of coffee, I'm in. And I think it was a joke the way Ryan Reynolds says it because he was like, I got him the coffee. I don't think he even fucking remembered, but I got him the coffee. um, and Mariah Carey was in one of the heaviest fucking movies I've ever seen. Precious.
Okay, that's a good movie.
No makeup, no nothing, stripped back. Every single fiber of what you imagine in your head to be the brand of Mariah Carey gone. Like I would I would say fair. You know, it would be like if Cardi B didn't have nails or hair, you know, the hairstyle shit, you can see it in your head. You just be like, oh shit, whew, that's an interesting look for Cardi B. That's not what I would imagine. So if she and you know that's not Precious was not a movie with a big budget either. So I think if she can put all that glitz and glamour and pride aside or safety net and just dive into this raw project with none of the safety net that she has in her career and her image, I think the conversation probably played out a lot like the conversation did asking Brad Pitt to be in Deadpool 2, where like, look, this is a story of just really the most innocent kind of guy finding his worth in the world and his place and inspiring those around him. And this is the song that will open his eyes to the possibility of life and bring him and the people around him into a better place emotionally. Whew. Whew. Especially with Ryan Reynolds saying that, because I know he could say that a million times better than I could.
It,
I think Mariah would be like, fuck, what do we need? What do
did,
I need to do to get this?
did she actually listen to the words he said, or was she just staring at him,
Oh no,
watching
I
his mouth move?
I pulled that all out of my ass. So I'm not referencing like an interview like you have been. That's just complete theory. I think if he explained that like that in his own way, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, "Hey, Mariah, can we give you like 2 million to use this song in the movie?" I think she'd also be like, "Yo, what's up, Ryan? Hell yeah, 2 million, good. That
So
sounds
so
like
speak
a plan."
so speaking of that,
Mhm.
without looking, what do you think the budget was for this movie?
Ooh, whew. I don't know because all right, I'm gonna
Because
give
you're saying 2 million for Mariah Carey. Let's round off.
I'm gonna okay. The easy guess would be 200 million, but that's not the guess I'm gonna make because I think Sean Levy uh is very experienced with VFX, and I could see him being more of a Tim Miller, like the budget of Deadpool 1. Look how low that was. However, it's a lot more dynamic, a lot more complicated than Deadpool 1 was. So I'm going to say it would be really, I would not be surprised if it was $220 million, but I'm going to guess no marketing included, 150 million or less.
If you guessed 150 million or less, you'd be right. The budget was between 100 and 125 mil.
Yo, I almost went 100, but I wasn't that
Well,
confident.
I mean, they've outside of Ryan Reynolds. I mean, most of their big actors are cameos
Mhm.
or short time on film. So I mean, a lot of their other actors are lower actors. That we talked about the Molotov Girl. That's her first major movie. Um, the other guy's been in a couple other movies. I forgot Keys or whatever. He's been in a couple
Stranger
movies.
Things.
Stranger Things. Yeah, I forgot about that. So I mean, he's not overly popular. You're not talking Brad Pitt. You're not talking like A-list celebrities. So I mean, I could see where you're pinching pennies, getting The Rock to do cameos, stuff like that to do over iPhone voice memos.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see it. I was just considering how, Tim Miller, it was a lifelong VFX artist, and Deadpool 1, I think, was 100 million. Let me fact check that. And it was nowhere near as I typed near instead of budget. Um, Nowhere near as
$58 million.
holy shit.
5.8.
Fuck. If I knew
No,
the
no.
correct answer to the budget of Deadpool 1, I would have gone 100 to 125. Fuck. I thought that. See, all right. Yeah,
That's
because
crazy.
yeah,
That's
because
super crazy.
no offense to Deadpool 1, but it is not gonna have fucking buildings creating bridge. That's probably all their effects budget. I mean Deadpool 1 had a fucking essentially rotting helicarrier that fell over, and that was the most complicated VFX shot. And like every time there's VFX, or like clearly VFX, game VFX, it's already that complicated. So 100 to 125. Wow. I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, I would, because I don't think they would have mended bridges, but I was going to say I wouldn't have been surprised if Tim Miller was brought on to do all the VFX.
Well, and all like because they filmed it in two different lenses. One lens for the real world, one lens for the video game world. Ooh.
I'm liking all these. I wish this was in the special features. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
You're
I mean,
giving me a lot more shit than the special features did.
yeah, YouTube baby. Um, so I mean, so they filmed it in two different lenses. They added so many like random things in the background too. There's a couple times where like NPCs would just like bump into trash cans and just repeatedly bump into trash cans for absolutely no reason. Um, there was one time there was a guy with his hands up, and like I think somebody jumps into the car, and he kind of like turns himself awkwardly to face the car to keep his hands up facing the car. They just got carjacked from him.
I only noticed the background stuff that we're supposed to notice, like him
Yeah,
saving that one guy and then the other guy coming and shooting
and
him.
shoots him and then teabags him.
But one of the things that made me think of like Scott Pilgrim, and especially the movie Kick-Ass, was details like the trash cans filled with just orange coffee cups.
Just the orange coffee cups because that's all they drink.
Yeah,
And
really.
if you look at the sign,
Sorry.
if you look at the sign on the coffee thing, it says like coffee, strong coffee, weak coffee, super strong coffee, super weak coffee, coffee with cream, coffee without cream, coffee with sugar, coffee without sugar, which is just coffee. So if you actually like read the coffee signs, they like went that far into detail with some of that stuff.
Yeah. The reason I specifically thought of Kick Ass is because that movie does a great job of making very specific sets that don't feel like we'd find them in this world, but more in the Kick Ass world. So, and it's not as robust as this one, obviously, but like the comic book shop. Have you seen the first Kick Ass?
Yes.
All right. So the comic book shop definitely feels like, oh, this is a cool place. I never would find a comic book shop that has a full working cafe and is actually, that successful anymore.
Yep.
But it definitely feels like a kick-ass comic shop. And pun wasn't intended, but I'll let it stand. Um, yeah, I'm scared that we're getting the sequel. I'm
They
excited. I'm
they
scared.
they intentionally set it up for a sequel.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'm much more comfortable knowing that they had like a dream for a sequel before they finish. Because if they were like, all right, let's make Free Guy, it probably won't be successful enough for a sequel, especially on Disney's terms. But man, this is the most fulfilling, awesome. I mean, Ryan Reynolds has said this is like his favorite movie he's ever made. Um,
Which is crazy to me. Crazy.
I'm not surprised at all, considering how it affected me. Um, but if he was like, "This is our one shot," and let's just be real, this is not going to make a new franchise, and then they all had to figure out a sequel, I'd be a lot more scared. But
Yeah,
no,
I mean, hopefully they do better than Ready Player Two. So
is Steven Spielberg directing that?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. Um,
I just have low expectations.
Speaking of Steven Spielberg, that's a great reference or great example. Uh, Jaws 2, Jurassic Park 2. I'm sure Steven never goes into a film or never finishes a film with like, I got my sequel idea fully developed. Um,
Just pay me my ransom and I'll give it to you.
um, so that makes me more comfortable. I also don't envy that they have to follow it up because what an ending. I wouldn't be surprised if Buddy coming back was like a reshoot where they're like, but I like the actor. Let's
but
just
he
have him
came,
come back.
but he came back and Get Out. So why can't he come back in this movie?
Yeah, that fun fact, quote unquote fun fact. Um, they were originally going to have the person in the cop car just be a cop and assume the worst. And same thing for blind spotting, actually. Colin was gonna, I'm not gonna say anything because that would imply a different ending for blind spotting. I don't want to, or imply what the real ending is. But Get Out, the ending, they were going to have a cop assume the worst. And
Yeah, I watched the alternate endings. I think there's three of them total, two or three of them total.
oh, I didn't know they actually released them. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, they're on the special features of the Blu-ray.
Yeah, but Jordan Peele said that after all the stuff that was happening in the real world, he felt it would be cruel to do that. Although I've heard other people, and I think I agree. I wonder if it was the right choice. I don't know,
Yeah, I mean
but
that'll be an answer. The answer only history can tell us.
kind of like the ending of I Am Legend, which they definitely chose the wrong one because the original ending was much better, and it's on the Blu-rays. Um, which part of the movie like do you want to focus on? Because honestly, there's
Um,
so much that I could talk about.
yeah, I mean all the references, all the marketing, um, even Ryan Reynolds's gin bottle is kind of makes an appearance in there.
Oh, it did. I didn't
Yeah.
notice.
When he
And
first puts on the glasses, that's one of the bottles on the ground that you can pick up.
oh, I noticed in Six Underground, but no one ever said Michael Bay's subtle.
um, but let's talk about the ending a little bit.
Mhm.
So the servers are being shut down. Millie and Keys are fighting against in the real world, fighting against the boss from shutting everything down, who's going down to the basements to doesn't work like this. Hack all the servers to pieces. um, while Ryan Reynolds is trying to find the game code that they originally created. He recognizes the first off, he gets doesn't get beat by dude or whatever, awesome dude. Catchphrase.
Dude, there's three things I love in life: kicking ass, TBD, third thing here. Yeah, he's basically having his chest caved in, and he's trying to figure out. Buddy uses the portal to throw the glasses to him. And he's trying to figure out the best weapon, and this also hit me on the second time. I almost teared up or was tearing up a lot more than I did the first time. Um, and the reason I teared up, I didn't cry, but I teared up at this point was because in guy fashion, he found the most non-violent way to beat dude, which is put the glasses on him.
When
He stopped fighting.
Yeah, well, because he was tripping out like Ryan Reynolds did the first time he put the glasses on, and it was like, what is all this crap? Catchphrase.
I can bench press a sentence. Um, it's
But
terrible.
so, and I'm drawing a blank on how he got from because they had to make him realize they had to have Millie go back in, explain to Millie everything that happened and how he was able to change his AI from just AI to the evolution.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't remember how he like doesn't he like die and they have to refigure everything out after they shut down the servers the first time?
Yeah, so everything resets and she goes to him walking with Buddy and he's very confused and she's tries telling him about the bubble gum ice cream, the swings,
The song.
all the things. Uh she actually didn't use the song, which I thought was interesting
Oh,
when she first
well, because
tried.
she doesn't recognize it until after Keys tells her about it at the end of the movie.
That makes sense. And then she gives up telling Keys like there's no time. I can't do it. And he like motivates her to get back in, tells her about the art. I think I don't remember if it was this part. Anyway, she abducts him from the bank. She's at 3 stars out of 5, Grand Theft Auto scale, and he is metaphorically shitting his pants. And she takes out a bazooka, shoots the cop car that's coming after her, and kisses him just like she found the button, just like he found the button. And
Oh,
that
that was pretty funny though.
and then the song comes in and you see visualized all the AI being created, like how Keys showed her on the laptop. Uh and he's back. He remembers everything and he remembers where he saw the island and he shows her the blinds, which I thought was wow, that was so clever. Because that first time I watched it, I didn't. The second time I watched it, I forgot, and I didn't. I was like, yeah, he's just flipping the blinds.
And I think if I remember right, you can actually in one of the interviews they said that you can actually see that world when he flips the vines the first time in the beginning of the movie. You can actually see it, and they intentionally put that in there as like a everything's pretty obvious, but you don't see it kind of thing.
I totally believe it. I think they had a wider shot though, so I'm gonna have to go back and like pay attention in anticipation. But I just knew that I know it has to be there. Like everybody working on this movie. It
Yeah.
was just firing on all cylinders.
So then he has to run down the bridge that's collapsing with Buddy, and um, why while he's doing that, the servers are being shut down and collapsing behind him. And I mean, overall, I would say the ending was solid. Cheesy,
Yeah.
but overall, it's solid.
Yeah. And what is it? The I'm gonna call him the best friend, the guy who was in Blind Spotting.
Mouser or something like that. It was like, yeah.
But he's the first one to like in the server room, he's like, I'm not gonna tell you where it is because you're nuts. And you know what? Actually, a real small moment that I'm just going to attribute to like guys inspirational spirit kind of infecting everybody just a little bit. You know, Ted Lasso kind of does that to everybody around him. Um uh oh, I forgot his name. Taika Waititi's character says security, and like the security guy comes and like goes to grab him, and you kind of in the background, like not the focus. He's like, you can call him by his real name, the security guard. And I just love that. It was a small touch, chef's kiss. Um, and then uh, Keys had seen them going in, so he warned Millie she's running over, and the most crucial thing I think Keys does, well, besides making the bridge, it was streaming the gameplay to the whole world. Because the second he gets through and shows the island, boom, game's up, or the jig is up.
Jigs up.
So yeah, is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was cheesy. And then after that, once they're developing their own game, I'm now assuming that they're millionaires or whatever because they could prove that their code was stolen and used in that game.
Oh, Millie gave it up. Millie gave the money up,
Oh right, yeah, she made that deal for
which I
not to
thought was
destroy the server.
beautiful. Like, whoo. But so I mean, I have no doubt that one day they will be.
Yeah.
But there's definitely
Well, I
Silicon
think
Valley episode one.
wasn't didn't they say like right after that, like the advertisements on TV were like, oh, I forgot what the original game was called, was shut down, but everybody's now playing their new game, Keys and Millie's new game. I thought there was like a news article or news flash kind of thing for it. So.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was. I remember that they said that Free City 2's sales kept falling.
Yeah, and then everybody had switched over to I forgot what it what was called, their new game.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure it's in the news article. And then it's kind of funny because typically the guy's the oblivious one to when like a girl likes a guy, the guy's the oblivious one, but she had to have it explained to him by his best friend. No, 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 no. You're the oblivious one. He did all this for you, mocked his character after you in order to level up this guy. He had to find you in specific.
Honestly, going into my rewatch, that was my favorite part of the film to remember because it was so, I think it was a little heavy, even though I missed it the first time. I think it was a little heavy handed during the interview where the interviewer was like, there's some chemistry between you two. Anything ever? I would have cut that if it was me because I think everything else that they put in was chef's kiss. So many chefs and so many kisses. But like, I was just watching it and I was like, wow, this is really it actually is now reminding me of Ready Player One. The ending, it's like, wow, this is really mature of him to like be letting her go, even though it's part of who Guy is, like literally his code. And I was like, oh wow, this is a nice ending. And then just put into the 11th gear. And when he started telling her, like he realized it, and I don't blame her. She's, somebody that long as friends right under your nose.
Yeah, it's hard to see things otherwise.
Yeah. And that the last puzzle piece clicked into place, and I was like, oh shit.
Well, he tried to explain it to her the first time through like that video conference, kind of like a Zoom picture. So when they flash back to it, of like him talking through all the decisions on, how to unlock the character. I did this for these reasons because they're your favorite things. So he tries to explain it to her the first time, but I think she's too locked into the game to realize what he's talking about.
And he
But
chickens out just a little bit.
yeah, he pumps the brake a little bit, but
But I did like that he hid that extra video in the code for her to find. Because like that's I mean, yeah, and just I'll give the same empathy to him. You know, it can be really hard to just put a whole friendship on the line and put yourself out there and be, especially if you're the character, quote unquote character lovelorn. I don't blame him for being a little chicken about it. You know,
yeah.
that sounded mean, but you know,
I
I've
mean, it's a hard thing to do. So I mean, it's not so much checking out. It's just something that's hard to do. It's hard to, profess your love to somebody like that. So,
yeah.
but overall, I would say it's solid. Like I said at the beginning, it's for me, it's a joint. You watch it once, you probably watch it twice. I mean, it's good. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to replace any movies in your movie collection. It's not going to move its way to the front by any means, but it's a solid movie. And I would say, watch it once or twice. I mean, maybe a year or two down the line, watch it again. But
Yeah, this is a movie I would really like to break down with like a hardcore gamer. Get all
yeah,
the references because that is
I mean, and that would take forever too, because I mean, there was like a Halo Warthog in there. Obviously, the whole beginning was like the drop in from Fortnite into the car chase scene where like the parachute drops onto the car behind him and he starts blowing up things. Very Grand Theft Auto like.
is the
I'm,
part
I'm
where the two quote unquote cops building all the shit like is that Fortnite esque? Because I've played Fortnite
yeah,
for a grand total of 5 minutes, but I've
yeah,
seen more
because in Fort
like
yeah,
videos about it.
yeah, it's Fortnite esque because you can build buildings and room, one by one rooms and stuff like that, and with staircases and stuff like that. So ramps. Yeah, but I'm sure it would if somebody wanted to do that. I bet you that'd be like 40 hours of just watching this movie and frame by frame going through and finding all these things because I'm sure it's crazy how they figured out all this, and somebody on the team's got to be a really big nerd.
No, yeah. And in the special features, like both of them are like, we're not pretending like we're the experts, but the script was in such a great place and we felt so inspired that we really just wanted to like deliver. And I've seen movies where they say the same thing, and I can just tell, even if I'm not in the culture, that they shit the bed. And I'm sure they shit the bed somewhere here or there, got something wrong, yada, yada, yada. But if I had to bet, I'd say they got a passing grade, if not like one with flying colors. Cause whew,
Yeah. I'm going through Portal Gun. We talked about.
yep.
He uses Mega Man's arm to shoot him once. The blue cannon arm.
My
Um,
daughter pointed out a Fortnite weapon that he used after
yep. The
with the
llama.
dude.
Yeah.
I don't even know
It's
what
a
that means.
pickaxe with a llama on it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I actually remember which one
Yeah.
you're talking about.
It's like blue and light purple.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it would take forever to go through and break down, and then some of the references they're probably obscure enough that figure it out eventually. But I think that'd be a tough job. I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm sure there's already a YouTube video by new rock stars about it.
that have watched this movie more times than you, me, and everybody listening to this review.
And and I actually don't think or I would be surprised if it was a new rock star that did it because they usually do comics. But anyway, anything else, sir?
Um, no, I think I've wrapped this movie up. If you're too young for Ready Player One, this is probably for you. If you watch this movie and you're like, man, this is all too new, then I would say step back, watch Ready Player One.
um, is this movie better than Deadpool 1 to you or no?
No, just because of how
Okay.
much I like Deadpool as a
Yeah,
character.
fair enough.
If it was played by anybody other than Ryan Reynolds at this point, I don't think I could watch it.
Uh, Deadpool or Free Guy?
Deadpool, Deadpool.
Uh,
Free Guy. I don't think you could replace Ryan Reynolds. I think in this movie he just does such a good job that I don't think you could replace him with anybody else.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
For me, this one outdoes Deadpool by a bit. Um, but I get where you're coming from.
yeah, I guess I'm more the like the more mature themes.
That sounds like a an insult.
No, 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 no.
I'm just messing.
I'm
Um,
I'm just not a Disney person. I'm not. I like that Disney's acquired some really good things now in the last couple of years, Marvel, Star Wars, stuff like that. But you know,
Deadpool.
Deadpool. But I'm just not a Disney person.
That's interesting.
I grew up watching the movies, Lion King, stuff like that, the older ones, but just never stuck with me.
That's
Which is funny
interesting.
because I live just outside of Disneyland, so Disney World, Disneyland, whichever one is in Central Florida.
It's interesting you say that because this movie doesn't strike me as a Disney movie, and I don't know how to describe, especially the modern Disney movies, uh, what that feels like. But
It's changed a lot. The modern Disney feel has changed dramatically over the last 5 years. All
yeah,
the live action movies, all the stuff that they've redone, everything they've acquired. I mean that the Disney has changed. It's not Disney of old.
yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I get where you're coming from, but this, I don't know, this hit a very specific bullseye for me, and it doesn't feel like. I'll have to think on that. But yeah, I wouldn't call him a Disney prince. It doesn't
No,
feel or a Disney princess since he's the fish out of water, finding his purpose. Um, uh, yeah. Well,
yeah, it's. I mean, it sucks that it got released in kind of a weird time.
mhm.
I wish this could have hit pre-pandemic. There's movies that I'm glad that hit it after, but this is one of those movies I wish would have hit beforehand. I think it would have done better. I think
Uh,
more money wise, it would have done way better.
yeah.
I mean, I think there's definitely some films that have benefited from the pandemic, being able to be seen at home. You know, HBO Plus stuff like or HBO Max, whatever,
Yeah. I was.
Disney Plus. But I think this movie definitely got hurt by. I think had we not had the pandemic, I think this would have done a lot better. I think this would have like tripled what it grossed.
Yeah, I could see like Dune Part One benefiting, and we'll have to see if my theory about that is true based on the box office of Dune Part Two. Although that's kind of skewed because it'll have the everyone's familiarity with Dune Part One. Um, I would guess that pre-pandemic, this movie would have had like a nice opening weekend, a dip, and then word of mouth would help bring it back up, and then it would get to the level you're talking about. Um, but I don't to say I don't. What I'm trying to say is I don't think it would have been an instant hit where where it really just broke records right out of the gate because I'm thinking about how much competition it would have had with all the other movies coming out pre-pandemic. I also don't remember what the original release date was. Um,
I didn't see which one it was. I know it was. Um, actually, I got it right here. July 3rd, 2020.
Okay, so that's before all the Disney Plus Marvel shows came out. I think if pre-pandemic, if it was coming out the same time as the Disney Plus Marvel shows, I think it might have gotten drowned out in the noise. But
Yeah,
yeah,
just as of November 7th, 2021, it only in the United States it only grossed 121 million dollars. I think had this come out pre-pandemic, I think it would have easily been 300,000 or 300 million. Sorry, 300 million.
yeah, it definitely would have made I think the first Deadpool made like 800 million. It definitely would have made half a billion dollars. Right now it's sitting at 331.1 million at the box office, which you just gave me a lot of hope for the Kingsman. I mean,
I mean, I think there are some movies that definitely benefited from having HBO Plus or Max or whatever it is, Disney Plus streaming service here, versus being in theaters. I think Mortal Kombat traditionally does not do well in movie theaters. I think being able to see it at home, I think definitely helped people see that movie. I think more people have seen that movie now because it was on HBO versus going to the movie theater. Because I wouldn't pay
I wasn't gonna.
$14, whatever it is now, to go to a movie, and another 600 at the popcorn stand. But
I don't think I would have used my AMC A list for Mortal Kombat. Sorry.
yeah. But
It was an intense experience, but I'll say one more thing about giving me hope for the Kingsman. I wouldn't be surprised if Free Guy 2 got greenlit, or let me rephrase that. I wouldn't be surprised if wanting to strengthen their relationship with Ryan Reynolds was an integral part in their choice to greenlight Free Guy 2, especially since they are very excited for all the Deadpool money. you know, um,
and also to kind of not have him typecast into a certain role, and also have his popularity off Deadpool bring money in elsewhere in other avenues.
and hell, I mean, it's just better for them if they have two franchises with him in their uh
Pocketbook.
in their pocketbook than one franchise with him and him with the looking for another franchise elsewhere, like even Red Notice or whatever it's called on Netflix. At least now they're like, well, we got two franchises with Ryan Reynolds. Um,
And on August 14th, 2021, following the film's successful first day box office gross, Ryan Reynolds confirmed that Disney wanted a sequel.
mm,
So it's already been confirmed that Disney wants a sequel. They set it up for a sequel. It doesn't say whether or not they're doing a sequel. What do you think the sequel? Do you think the sequel would have Ryan Reynolds in it? Where do you think
100%. I don't think Ryan Reynolds would do it with.
where do you think this would go? Like,
I have no fucking idea, and I am glad it's not my responsibility. I
good,
will.
because I have no idea.
I will say one. I wonder if Disney would have greenlit Free Guy 2 if they had seen the final box office numbers. But I mean, instead of just like getting excited on those first day grosses. I don't know. I have to imagine. Hmm,
Does he break out of the video game somehow?
that's the part I'm scared of, because if it's a
Does
Wreck-It
he?
Ralph 2, Ralph breaks the internet. I've not seen it because I heard not great things, or
It's not terrible.
half baked, like it's half baked, like
Yeah,
it just doesn't live up to the original.
it's not awful.
Yeah, but like Wreck-It Ralph 1 was such a perfect alchemy to it. Um, ooh, it's going to be really hard to make a Toy Story 2. Let's say that. Like Wreck-It Ralph 2 has shown us that it's not easy. And I don't know, maybe Guy's thing is a problem that originates from this free world. like maybe it starts getting corrupted and they need to decide between starting a new server and like choosing the good people to take over and then
Ooh.
shutting down the server of the toxic people, or figuring out a way, or having to decide between giving those toxic people that have originated within this free world uh, a second chance at redemption. um and I wouldn't be
I
surprised if
like
they change it up a bit, like call it not free girl, not because that would be bad that a girl is in the title, but that would seem lazy. Like, oh, now we got a
well
girl.
and it's free guy, and guy is his name, not the fact of his gender.
Yeah, I mean, they
Just
could
happens to
call
be
the
his,
person girl, or you know what
yeah,
I
I
mean, and
guess,
actually do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they called it free world. And then um maybe part of that evolution of that insular world is like robots. Like you could have Guy inhabit a physical being in the real world and bring those two worlds closer together.
all of a sudden he's controlling your Roomba. Get out of here.
I mean, hey, I that would, if that's how they did it and they're the ones doing it, like the team that did this comes back fully and they don't replace the director or whatnot, then I'd be very excited. But that's my best.
Your best pitch.
Yeah, I'm not going to invest more energy into the pitch because I don't want to fall in love with some idea that ultimately I think is going to be worse than whatever they come up with. Because I trust that they're going to do a better job than anything I could come up with.
Yeah, I just have a sneaking suspicion that they're gonna have a falling out between Keys and Millie.
That would
And
feel lazy.
yeah, well,
Oh.
that's what I'm saying. That's my sneaking suspicion.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't know, how you continue the Keys and Millie and best friend story.
Without, going down a really narrow trope.
All right, right before we wrap up, hey Maddie, I saw her in the back. Madeline, are you you're can you come in? Okay. She had a blanket around her, so I was like, is she decent? She's decent. What'd you think of Free Guy? You want to say something? You don't want to say something? Thumbs up or thumbs down then? That's a blanket. It's a thumbs up from Maddie. All right.
Now the real question is if she's seen Ready Player One or not.
Maddie, have you seen? Yeah, she has.
See, boom,
Yeah.
way better movie. Say she gave 2 thumbs up. You didn't even see it.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say this quietly because she will strike me if she hears me. But she thinks that Playing with Fire with John Cena is a great movie. So let's just
come on, give her some time.
I'm just saying she needs more time to
I don't even
develop
know
her
how I
taste.
don't even know how you see that. You can't even see him. I don't even know how you play with fire. Fire floating in the air.
I appreciate your joke, and I also appreciate that John Cena still loves that joke.
It's got to be so old coming to him. Like if you were to go,
No,
I can't imagine that. That would get so old to me.
totally. And on it, like, but during the press for the Suicide Squad, they were like, "You ever get tired of it?" And he was like, "No. Why would I ever get tired? Why would I ever?" And I was like, "There's two options. One, he's not tired of it, and that's awesome. Or two, he is tired of it, but he's just so nice, and he's not gonna make feel people feel bad about what they're passionate about, especially if they're not hurting anybody." And I'm like,
No,
either way, that's just a gentlemanly move in my book.
yeah, I would get so tired of that. And if it came from like, a kid, I would play it 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I mean, like a grown adult that like me or you come up to him and can't see me kind of thing, I'd be like, no, dude, take a
Totally.
hike.
Totally. I'd be tired of that 1 year after I retired from wrestling if I had ever done wrestling. But I wish I could be so gracious and not just gracious, but in a way that it really doesn't show on my face that I'm lying. Because I'll be like, no, no, it's fine. Why would I ever, spit in the face of the people who helped my career? And you just see it. I'm like, okay, he is sick. I just, I was like, what a nice guy.
I mean, you see that a lot with like sports stars and older, like old movie people that you got kind of typecast into a certain movie. Like if you came up to Robert Downey Jr. and called him Iron Man, he'd probably be okay with it for now. If you came up to him 15 years from now and called him Iron Man again, he'd probably be like, dude, get over it. That was 20 something years ago.
Any interview with Harrison Ford, if they ask if he shot first, he's just like, I don't give a shit.
Harrison Ford's a real one though. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he will tell you what he feels.
Yeah, the way he says it, either option, either the John Cena option or the Harrison Ford option, because I never feel bad when Harrison Ford is like, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't make me feel bad about loving Star Wars,
Yeah. See, in my world, I would be Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And because I would get so tired of some of that stuff.
Yeah, I know I can't. I don't think I could hit that perfect note. I trust that you could. But me, I don't think I could. I don't know. I just have I don't know, maybe I'm scared of embracing my forthcoming cantankerous mood. What is it? I don't know what the word
See,
is.
I'm going to grow up and be the grumpy old guy that says, get off my lawn.
That's going to be me inside, and I'm going to be constantly fighting it. Because I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be. I'm gonna end up being that, kicking and screaming, and then one day I'm just gonna not give a fuck. and I'm gonna buy a shotgun and no shells. It's just gonna be a prop shotgun on my lawn. I'm gonna be like, get off my lawn.
And then all of a sudden, this movie turns into Gran Torino somehow. I have no idea how that worked out.
I've never seen Gran Torino.
Oh, it's a good movie. I mean, I don't think it'll age well. Like a lot of those types of movies. Clint Eastwood movies. I think it's not going to age well. I think it's already not aging well.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, overall, it's a good movie. If you take it really, 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 really loosely, it's a good movie. It's about somebody who, has some predetermined notions that other classes of society are not equal to him, and then he kind of learns otherwise. So if you take it, if you just know that about the movie, you'd say, oh, it's not that bad of a movie, but on the inside, Clint Eastwood's not like that. So
oh, okay. I could see that a little bit in the one that I did see, which was when he was the drug mule and Bradley Cooper was hunting him. And
that's actually relatively new too.
Yeah, I saw it a few years ago.
Yeah,
it was solid. It was nothing like crazy, but it was interesting. I think it was based on a true story.
Yeah, even if you do, what's the boxing movie with him?
Oh, $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, even if you take it like that, I mean, he didn't really believe in her because she was a girl for 3/4 of the movie. But
yeah, I kind of admire the fact that he was a prick for that long, and like got proven wrong. You know what I mean? Because
I just hope he's not like that in real life.
Oh yeah, definitely. I hope he's not. And I don't think I hope that him being able to show that he's wrong in that light, especially when he's in control, is a sign that he's not like that in real life. Because anyway, I think I've said this to you before in the No Time to Die review. We still need asshole characters. And
yes. But you need to go about it and do it the right way.
You just got to stop framing them as right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like oh, okay. That was a weird way to end our review of Free Guy.
And on that note, don't have a good day. Have a great day.
Woo-wee. All right. Well, let's what is it? We kind of got this from the last one. We'll just I'll stop the recording. You're gonna hear the story of how I almost died,
The
possibly.
much anticipated.
But we're gonna end this by saying each of us saying that movie was a blah or an and then mine. And I'll just cut it as we're elongating our rating. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, wait, we got to say our names. My name is Brian. If you want to talk about these movies, go to Movies Are Dope. And your name is
Brad F912.
boom. That's his legal name and his Instagram. And this movie was
A joint.
an edible. Oh, wait, let's do that one more time, but just say the word as long as possible, our rating. Want to say it together?
Sure.
All right, 3, 2, 1. This movie was
a
an
joint.
edible. All right, this is going to be at the end, Brad, because at the beginning of the podcast, everyone wants to hear the review of the movie, and this is the story that I will have teased at the beginning of Life and Death. I teased you over the over text about it, and let me put my video on. There we go. Can you see me?
Yeah. What is that?
I fell off my bicycle on Saturday, and in hindsight, no joke, I don't know that you've known me long enough that you know that I'm not, or that you could know conclusively that I'm not a drama queen or drama king. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like embellishing stories to make things dramatic. But based on the amount of blood, I actually think I almost bled to death on Saturday. Especially because my pillow, which I've retired, like my bathroom looked like a murder scene. My bed sheets looked like a murder scene. My pillow looked like a murder scene. And the wall, thankfully, blood cleans off real easy.
Don't tell murderers that.
I mean, there's proteins in blood that'll still show up. So, I mean, maybe I shouldn't tell them that. Maybe I should tell them it cleans up real easy. But if you haven't murdered and you're considering it, then I'll mention the proteins part.
I only say that because we just watched Gone Girl. So,
oh yeah. But and the color of my feet, the paleness, I actually think I lost a large amount of blood that I almost died because I didn't even realize. Because when I was, based on where the blood was on the wall, I was asleep and still bleeding by the time I fell.
That's a little dangerous. I mean, I know, and for people that can't see, it's like right above your kind of like your temple area.
And by the way, this thing that looks like a black eye, that's fresh. I don't know why. It's been 2 days. It's a Monday where we're recording this.
Well, don't tell us. Is that the gorilla that escaped from the zoo?
I have no idea what reference that is.
Adam Sandler, the football one.
The
water boy.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, the water boy. He one of his excuses for playing football is he told his mom, or came home with a black eye. His mom thinks football's the devil. So he said a gorilla escaped from the zoo and punched him in the eye. That's why he had a black eye.
Is that what actually happened in the movie?
No, he's playing football. But
I wouldn't have been surprised in an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, so she was putting up like wanted signs for the gorilla that escaped from the zoo.
Gotcha. Well, my face looks very misshapen, and I have taken no photos of all the blood I previously mentioned because if my landlord ever asks, this is a funny story that I am a drama king. Yeah, not putting that evidence anywhere. but
Do you have stitches or no?
no.
Oh, from here it looks like it's on the video. It kind of looks like there could be.
Oh no,
But
that's the clotting. It just clotted, and it's still
nice.
swollen. And
Yeah.
the new black eye looking thing is a little concerning to me because it's 2 days later. But yeah,
Nah. I'm sure it's all right. I'm sure that's part of the healing process. Either that
fingers
or
or internal bleeding near my
yeah,
brain.
yeah, that or your daughter, tried to wake you up this morning and just punched you in the eye.
Oh no, I pick her up on Mondays.
Oh, see, tried.
Um, but yeah, I and genuinely, it didn't. It obviously didn't feel dramatic at the time because I was concussed and passing out.
And bleeding
Yes.
profusely. So was it like so? Give us the details. Was it like squirting? Was it like
No,
waterfall out of your head, or
no,
was it just like pouring?
no, honestly, I'm not kidding. Think of Carrie. Like that's honestly what it must have looked like. Pretty close. I wasn't drenched, but my bathroom was. And I literally asked my daughter not to come in so I could change the sheets because it looked horrific.
That is pretty scary.
So
Life
that's
changing event.
fun. Yeah, I almost canceled this and asked to do it a week later so I wouldn't look like a bag of shit tossed around. But I knew this would be fun.
Be an interesting story.
Not the story. I mean, actually, like talking about this movie with you
I see. I see.
would be fun. And considering how yesterday I decided to finally do a deep dive of Mr. Beast instead of just be sad and recovering.
Mr.
And
Beast,
feeling,
the YouTuber, or
mm-hmm.
am I missing something? Okay.
No, yeah, I needed something to distract me because it was not a great day after.
Well, good thing you were wearing a helmet.
I was not.
Oh, you were. I saw you. You were definitely wearing a helmet.
I wasn't.
Always wear your helmet.
No, this is the example I showed my daughter why she needs to wear the helmet. And honestly, I thought I had lost my bike because I couldn't remember where I'd fallen off. It was literally in my gangway. That's how far I got until I had the fall of my life.
I mean, I've done that before. I've fallen off a bike or rollerblading or whatever, and got concussed and just don't remember where I left things. Left the bike wherever the fell happened and walked home. Don't remember walking home, kind of thing. But not as scary as yours.
I'll tell you. Yeah. This is the first time I've ever had that. I've had a concussion, but it was like boxes fell on my head and I had a headache and I slept it off. I remembered everything.
Which is terrible.
It was like, it felt like nothing. Not telling people they should just get concussions. But anyway, that was the post-credits scene to this podcast. Now we're going to actually record the podcast.
Now that we've teased you sufficiently.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to stop recording so it'll be super easy for me to edit this.